Hey everybody, welcome back to another Bootstrap tutorial example here. Today we're going to be talking about the carousel, which is probably one of the single most useful things that you can have in Bootstrap. So let's go ahead. What I already have is I actually already have an example in here. I'm just going to get rid of that real quick so we can start fresh. But I already have our page divided. I have actually what was the Jumbotron page. Will now go ahead and make that the carousel page. And we'll go ahead and get started. So for some Bootstrap things, I think it's really just a lot easier to go and get stuff from their examples. So in their carousel here, they have this very first one is what we're going to do today. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to copy that, and we are going to go back to our code, and we are going to put that right onto our page. So we're right under where I put carousel. I highly encourage you to do that as well. Now, what they do is, I don't like the way it's indented. So we're going to do two things real quick. We're going to comment to say this is the end of the carousel, just because it's, again, 1, 2, 3 div tags in a row. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to select the entire carousel here and hit Shift Tab, so it's just all aligned straight to start with. And then we'll start tabbing it in. So once will be for the carousel itself. Carousel Inner is all the internal workings of the carousel. That'll go one more level. The carousel items will go one more. And then everything inside of the items, just in this case, just the image tag, will then go even one further, because this right here is just a lot easier to read. You can see that your carousel, your inner, and then all three of the items that are included in this carousel are now visible and very easy to find. So with this, right now you get a whole lot of nothing. So what we're going to do, and I have this, I just searched for football. Honestly, I don't care what you search for. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to copy a couple of different images here. It could even be placeholder, doesn't matter. So I'm going to right click, I'm just going to copy the image address. And I'm going to put that inside of our SRC, where it has these 3 dots. So that one's kind of a long one, sorry. So we're going to just go ahead and do that for 3 of these images. Find one, paste in the link. And remember, you want the image address for this. You definitely don't want copy image, you don't want save image. Just go ahead and copy that image address. So when you put it in, oh, that's another ridiculous one. If you do that, just do Control Z and copy a different one, because I don't want image addresses like that. So, sorry, we'll just finish that out real quick. And that's a much more logical one. Every now and then you just get the crazy images. What can you do? So, what we have, I had mine going a little earlier here, is what you should have is you should have these 3 images now that go. If you have to make sure that your mouse is off of it so it doesn't hold up, but give it a second to load, and then it should go and it should cycle through all of those images that you copied on there, and that's what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and change a couple of things. First one, up here in carousel, we have this ID. So the thing that makes this work is this ID. So we're going to just change it real quick, because example carousel is never that wonderful to do. So div with a class of my carousel, or with an ID rather of my carousel. So let's go find those spots where then it is required that we change that. And this one I actually am having a little bit of trouble finding some of that stuff. So maybe it isn't indeed on here. All right. Anyways, so you should change that ID. We really just don't want it to say example because that's just not the thing to do. Anyways, so there's a couple more things you can change. Right here in this carousel item, the one that you're on, you start with, has this active class on it. Don't change that. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to change the duration. So they have these things that are called data-attributes. So right now we're working with some data. Data-interval. And what you can do is you can pick an interval in milliseconds. So if we do 500, each one of those slides will go and they'll be half a second. And for each one of those carousel items, we just want to put that data-interval on there so we can go and we can make these move a lot faster. So let's go preview. If you refresh your page, your carousel should reset. It takes a second to load, but after that you can see that the slides are moving much faster. This is not necessarily the ideal sort of speed. However, with that data-interval, you do have a lot of options to change it. So now let's go take a look here, back in our Bootstrap in the carousel here. What we have is this next thing that says with controls. So we're going to add our controls in here. So the controls you can see are down here. We just talked about buttons. That's kind of what we're doing here at the end. So these A tags with the class of Carousel Control, these are the things that we're going to go and we're going to copy right now. So you're going to go ahead, Control C, you can copy that, and then right outside of the spot, the one that where Carousel Inner closes, which should be right here, we're going to put that in. So let's comment real quick that says these are the buttons. So the buttons to control our carousel go here. And again, we have, this gets to be kind of a lot of code. We definitely have messy code here because of the paste. So let's go ahead and do Shift Tab and then tab it like we'd like it to go. So the A tag is in there. We can have our span tags actually indented like this. And it's just going to be a much cleaner version of code. So now we see that the carousel example controls, that might be a spot where we would need my carousel. So let's see. When you refresh your page, you see these little arrows pop up here. And right now, we definitely don't have them working because we have that ID incorrect. So we changed the ID to my carousel. Down in here in our controls, we have to do the same, where it says, whenever it says href hashtag that carousel example controls, we want to change that to be my carousel. So we're indeed referring to the one that we are doing here. So if we refresh that, what we should have is we should be able to then actually click through our carousel. If we click the other one, we click back. So that ID, this is the case where that ID is extraordinarily important. Additionally, on the next example, you have these little thingy-dingies on the bottom. Those are the indicators. So you can see right here at the top of our carousel example here, we have the Carousel Indicators. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that OL, and we're going to go and take that into our code. That would go right under the My Carousel right here. And I just like to put a little extra space. We'll put our OL. So that one, again, we're going to make sure that we are lining our code up properly. And we see that that ID is, again, incorrect. So we want My Carousel to then go and replace our example indicator thing in the UL. This is the one where it's in data-target. And then you can see right here that you have data-slide 2. So the first one will go to your first slide, which is 0. Remember, in computer language, 0 is first. And then you can do each one. So if we were to add one more, you'd have to copy the LI and change that to number 3. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick. When we add those indicators on, they're all the way down here at the bottom. So when we click on that, we click on an indicator, and it'll indeed take us to whatever slide in the show that we have. Now, the last thing we can add is captions. So you can see in here, we have the with caption. So you have inside your carousel item, you then have a div that you can add. Carousel caption, and you have all that stuff right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy that div with the H5 and the paragraph in it. And when we put that on our tag, we're going to put that right underneath of our image. And we'll just comment that to say caption. And we'll paste. We're going to need to do a little bit more tabbing, of course, so everything lines up. But that should be good. So this one is not indeed our second slide. This is our first. And then our second one, we'll go, our second image is here, right underneath of our second image, inside of our div. We have our second slide, which can stay second. And then right under our last image, we can put our third slide header, or caption in rather. So you see where that goes. You have carousel item, and in this item you have two things. You have an image and then a div that has the caption. So what that should do for us is go, and now we have this caption on the bottom. Oh, it's going fast. Third, second, first. So we can then describe our image a little bit. So one other thing that you might very well want to do is the last thing here in our carousel. What we're going to do is we're going to put just a little style. And what we can do is we can just put a max height. And we'll say like 60 VH. And you might have to do that for the items as well. But with that, what it should do is you can see that our carousel items and all those things are a little bit smaller. So if we put that in to our carousel item as well, let's try it on just the inner. Oops. You might have to mess with that just a little bit. There's some definite intricacies with dealing with this. But when we change Carousel Inner, you can see that now we actually have something that's a little bit more reasonable size. And then you would have to just go make sure that your images are indeed the way that they should be. And that's our carousel. So this is one where, like I said, it definitely requires a little bit of messing with to make it work properly. But carousel is arguably one of the most valuable tools you have in your design arsenal. So good luck, and we'll see you for the next one coming soon.